Welcome to the If You Know You Grow podcast. My name is Chantel Braley, and I am going to be your host for the next however many minutes. This podcast has been created to help bring you behind the scenes of some incredible brands, hear some incredible stories, and make it so that it is no longer an if you know industry, because now it is all about if you know, you grow. Welcome to today's kind of mini episode of If You Know You Grow, the podcast, with myself, Chantel Braley. I just kind of wanted to jump in and I really just chat about some unpopular opinions, unhinged thoughts. I think these are things that are going to come up really regularly with me, as I don't necessarily think the way that everybody else does, or maybe I do, but I'm just not afraid to say it. So I hope that you enjoy and tell me how you feel. Like, if you think I'm wrong, please tell me, only because I love having these open conversations. And at the moment, I've got no one to riff back and forth with. So the first unpopular opinion that I have is not every brand needs community in order to thrive. So I understand that this opinion seems a bit unhinged and seems a bit wild, because I come from a very privileged perspective of I am working with New Harvest Supplements, which has one of the most incredible communities. Like, whether it is from just a vibe, love, personality, everything, like, phenomenal. These girls, and the reason I say girls is because most of them are predominantly women. They are incredible. I have been personally impacted in my life by the power of this community. I am obsessed with them. However, I do not believe that every brand needs community to thrive, because I think that brands need to remain authentic. And it is so authentic for activewear brands, for supplement brands to have community, because if you think about the basis of gym culture is community culture. If you look at the way that LSKD has grown, nobody does community the way that LSKD does community. There are so many activewear brands that I think have really leveraged that. And having worked in-house for, one of, at the time, I mean, they're still huge, working for one of Australia's biggest activewear brands, they didn't nail community despite being a legacy brand, which is where it was very easy for LSKD to really take market share and then some. And that is an opinion. That is not said with anything. I was not there when LSKD was operational, etc. But when I think about what I watched LSKD do, and I watched their community partnership brands, and I watched them scale in New Zealand, and the way that they prioritize community, that is a brand that has done a phenomenal job with community. With New Harvest, it's very much the same way, in the fact that we invest in our community with no direct concern about ROI or ROAS, because community is not quantifiable. There are ways that you can make community quantifiable via a loyalty program. However, it's never going to paint the full picture, and it is going to come with like a level of the liability of in essence of what a loyalty program is. And I love loyalty programs. NH just thrives. It's one of the best investments we've ever made, but not every brand needs a community. I have worked with beauty brands that use the word community that did not have a community, and it was awkward because I don't think anyone thought they were a part of that community. In order to have a brand that has community, you need to have pillars that people want to live and breathe and adopt, and you need to have a product that creates a safe space for somebody. There are a lot of fashion brands that I don't believe need to have a community. A lot of those brands kind of sit within maybe the fast fashion space, but just because you have a product and just because you have a customer doesn't mean that you have a community. And when I think about impact versus effort, and the fact that brands are utilizing the word community and they are trying to build a community when maybe it doesn't actually sit within what their brand is to have that community, just take that time and invest it in something else. This is where comparison is the thief of all joy. You don't need that community to be able to grow. So when I think about two brands that have done community very well and have been also laser focused on their community, and it's going to be interesting because I think their customers sit in the same demographic, right? CSB, Crop Shop Boutique, Rachel Dillon's brand, has done a really great job of establishing a community. They do incredible pop-ups. They do very iconic activewear to where you can see a girl on her hot girl walk and you know that she is a CSB girl. Like, I love the CSB products. I own multiple of the CSB products. They have a cult following and a community. On the flip side, that girl will probably be using Rhode. She will have her Glazy Milk. She will have her peptide lip products. Whilst Rhode has created a cult following, I don't believe that Rhode has created a community. I think Rhode has done a really good job of creating a product that people want to be seen in, but I don't see interaction points for Rhode across their community. If anything, there is like a Rhode versus like Rare Beauty in this weird like women on women space, which like I hate, and I hate that it gets perpetuated. But Rhode Beauty, $1 billion deal, cult following, no community. So the essence of this is like, don't get caught in the trap of absolutely thinking that you need a community. You need a defined brand. You need to know who your customer is, and you need to decide whether or not you want to create a space for that customer. Because if you are saying that you have a community, you need to show up and create and nurture and love that community. Because we can see just from this like CSB versus Rhode, when we know the girlies are shopping at both, they both don't have a community. People still bought from Rhode. They didn't feel like they needed to be involved in the community. They were happy to just post in their silo about the product because everybody else had that product. Whereas CSB, like I went to one of their like community, like I think it was like a community run one of the mornings, and like there was hundreds of women in Brisbane at New Farm Park just like decided to wake up and go for a quick little run that morning. There was no clear return on investment with that strategy. Whereas Rhode's pop-ups are not about community. They are about providing accessibility and reach to a product that was at that point not available in bricks and mortar, and it only popped up in iconic exclusive locations from a brand perspective to solidify that it was a brand that was at the Grove because it was the It Girl brand. So 2 great brands, 2 really creative and, iconic strategies, but community and just a product that got a founder a lot of money out of the deal. So no one's complaining there. So my next unpopular opinion, and some people will agree with me on this, some people will not agree with me on this, but my unpopular opinion is going viral for the sake of going viral is incredibly short-winded and incredibly exhausting and genuinely not worth your time. So oftentimes, and this is very much like the out of touch founders, and if I'm calling you out of touch, I'm not apologizing. I just think that like maybe it's the hard truth that no one wants to tell you. If you are going to your team and you are telling them that they need to create a viral campaign and you have no concept of why you want this campaign to be viral and what the purpose is, like there are so many considerations with a viral campaign. One, when we say viral, we generally think of TikTok because TikTok is the platform that allows us to have the biggest reach, right? Have you ever ended up on the wrong side of TikTok? Because just because you have reach doesn't mean you reach your market. I would rather have very consistent, clear, engaged content to my audience, to my niche, than have a couple wild things go live on the wrong side of TikTok. Ending up on the wrong side of TikTok is exhausting. You have to be across every single comment because the more comments that are there, the higher your engagement is going. And internet trolls, particularly on TikTok where they can be so private, are absolutely savage. I think the other concept of like wanting to go viral for like the sake of going viral, it's a very hard metric to like base your team off of and get them to want to aspire to create viral content because you don't really know what is going to be viral. And I think that is really difficult in giving someone a brief of like, this needs to go viral when you don't know why it's going to be viral. If you're jumping off the back of a viral trend, that could possibly work for you, but also reach doesn't always equal revenue. And so you need to figure out like, how is that person being graded on their role? And is this something that actually makes sense for me to ask them to be doing? And could their time be invested in something different? And like there are a lot of TikTok viral brands that have 3 employees, and that is fantastic for their business. But then again, why is the exception becoming the example of how we should be running our TikTok strategies, right? They are doing phenomenally. And for all, we know they could have a 3PL, they could be firing, they could have all of this stuff, but like brand awareness on TikTok when it's viral, only creates good awareness for your brand if it's creating awareness within the right market. So if you are a brand where your customer is, mid 30s plus, which yes, is the fastest growing customer or like viewer on TikTok because people are adopting later in the game. But if you are that person and you are creating content that is being geared toward a younger customer, are you ever going to drive conversions, or are you setting up a role in your business where that role is ultimately never going to get you the results that you want? That's only a question that like you're really going to be able to answer. But this goes back to the conversation of like, why do you want this? Why do you want this to be viral? Like, what is the purpose behind this being viral? Oftentimes, especially from like founders who are in their 30s or in their 40s, they're like, oh, I hate TikTok, so I've just hired someone else to do it. And that's because they couldn't get past those first couple days of the teething point of the algorithm where the algorithm gets to know you. If you still don't like TikTok after that point, I feel like you don't like entertainment, because TikTok is designed to entertain you. TikTok knows what wild tangent I'm going through in my life, because it will like send me fortune tellers and like tarot readers that are telling me exactly what I need to hear to feed my delusion. Like, the algorithm is wild. So you need to make sure that the content that you are putting out is aligned with your audience and makes sense. And it is not about being viral. It is about getting a great reach organically that makes sense for your business and makes sense for where you are actually currently sitting. All right. Well, thank you for coming into this mini episode with these controversial opinions or unhinged thoughts or whatever they are. I really appreciate you listening, and let me know how you felt about it. Have a great day.